Good evening, everybody, and welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl, Episode 9. I am thrilled this evening to be joined by truly the glitterati, the royalty of streaming in the Blood Bowl 2 community. And that's one thing we need to talk about is how that might move forwards. First of all, I'm joined by Andy Davo. Everyone say hello. And Andy, how's your life? How's your Blood Bowl right now?
Yeah, it's all right. Thank you. I'm actually taking a week off at the moment, but yeah, it's good.
Good. Well, I hope all is well, and that's a positive thing for you. You've met all these people before. They've been on One World, One Blood Bowl before, so we're not going to do long intros today. Elliot, hello. How's your life at the moment? How's your Blood Bowl?
It's good, thanks. I've been not on a break, but toning down the number of games I've played this season, so I've just taking it easy.
Just the odd 200 or 300 games on a Nurgle team, then.
Exactly.
Good. Nice and relaxed and calm. I'm also thrilled to be joined by Jimmy Fantastic. Hello, Jimmy. How's your life and Blood Bowl right now?
It's all right, apart from, there's some problems, but yeah, mostly great, thanks.
Good. And, of course, the delightful, the divine Rick Reckless is joining us. Hello, Rick. How are you? How's Blood Bowl?
Hi, PC. Yeah, lovely, thanks. Got rid of St. Richolas for this season, so that's a positive. And I found this weird site called Fumble that I'm really enjoying, that you might know about. So yeah, Blood Bowl's great. Thanks, mate.
I have heard there are other electronic versions of fantasy football available, and that Fumble does offer that. A very close neighbour of Blood Bowl, of course, and some might say completely indistinguishable, but legally very, very distinctly different. And that's very, very important.
They don't have any pictures of the models.
No.
Games Workshop's a models company, so it's fine.
Yeah, nothing that contravenes IP. So, we're here tonight in a slight change from a normal One World, One Blood Bowl, and the format is very versatile. I do plan to do other shows where we talk about single races or strategies. In fact, the very next one, I've had someone ask to be invited on, which I've said yes to. They want to talk about how they got better at playing Blood Bowl. So I'm trying to fill out the guest list around that so we can do an entire show about improving your Blood Bowl. I think that's going to be interesting. But as you must have been living under a rock in the world of Blood Bowl, if you don't know, at the moment we are going through, enjoying, some of us may be enduring the Blood Bowl 3 beta that is currently running and has been running for about half a week. It's got a few more days to go. It's the second time we've had Blood Bowl 3 in beta. The first one, I believe, was June or July of last year, so we're 8 months on from that. And this evening I've invited these streamers on specifically because they spend a lot of their time, and some of them earn part of their livings from streaming Blood Bowl 2. So the state of Blood Bowl 3 is extremely important to these 4 people, and I wanted to give them a chance to give their feedback and to chat to me about it, because I've been playing the beta. I'm interested in what people think and on how this version of Blood Bowl is and how it moves forward. So that's what we're here to talk about. I hope you're as excited about that as I am. I mean, goodness knows how I managed to persuade these 4 people to come on to this show, but I'm incredibly thrilled that I am. So a big thank you to all of them. I want to start pretty much exactly there. Let's just do our hot take on the Blood Bowl 3 beta. If I limited you to a sentence or two, how would you describe your experience with the Blood Bowl 3 beta so far? Just randomly, I'm going to pick Rick Reckless and start there.
It's great. Next subject.
Good.
No, it's so hard to summarize briefly. It's a massively mixed bag. I can't put how I feel about it into a few sentences without us going into more detail later. Sorry, PC.
That's fine.
I
honestly don't know how to summarize.
Jimmy Fantastic, what's your hot take on the Blood Bowl 3 beta?
I'll help, Rick. It's terrible. There you go. That's summarizing it. It's terrible. It's barely improved from 8 months ago.
Okay.
And it's tragic. It's obviously also good. It's terrible. That's it.
While we finish this off as well, I believe we have Dimmy G in chat. If he could run the first poll that we're planning to run, that might be a nice time to do it. Elliot, let's come to you. What's your hot take on Blood Bowl 3, the second beta?
I'm pretty sad and worried about my Blood Bowl future, and Fumble is a pretty great platform at least. So there's that. Okay,
Andy.
Disappointed, and I think I would personally describe myself as being pretty angry.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I can't disagree with the sentiments expressed by the 4 of you. For me, there's progress, but a lot less than I had hoped there might be. I think disappointed is probably my overriding emotion when it comes to that. Okay, do we have a poll running yet? I don't seem to think we do, but hopefully we will at some point too soon. I just want a quick poll to say: is the chat excited about Blood Bowl 3, based on what they've seen from the beta so far? With the options yes and no. And if that doesn't kick off soon, I will kick it off myself. Dimmy's trying. Okay, good. There is some typing involved and some words, so that might take a while.
We've got about an hour, so it's all right.
Yeah, we've got some time, as long as it runs at some point. If not, I'll find a moment. The front end of Blood Bowl 3. Let's start. We'll try and pull it apart piece by piece, because I think there's some good stuff here. Just to briefly, on the stream, I know you guys, I don't know if you're watching the stream, but you may not see this. These are the menu screens and some of the interaction screens at the front end of Blood Bowl 3. They look like this. So they're certainly very bright. The labeling is very clear. They move around very quickly. There's color-wise, I would suggest it's in pretty much exactly the same color as the color palettes as the Blood Bowl 20 rulebook. It all moves fairly smoothly. I don't know what options it's going to have, but to me it feels slightly more like I'm in control of something and it's reasonably obvious where I go to do things than it was on Blood Bowl 2. Do you think that's fair of me, or am I kidding myself, just desperately searching for something positive here?
Looks like it is should belong on one of these.
Yeah, I think that's not unfair. Elliot, are you a fan of the front end, of the colours, the palette, the usability of that?
Colours and palette. I kind of have not much, interest either way. It's fine to me. I'm not bothered about the colours one way or another. I think just sort of preface it, the front end, the menu part is like so much less of a priority than the main game stuff. But for sure, I appreciate going through in order. It's a great way to do it. When it first started, it was really laggy. The first day it was released, it was really, really laggy. And it does this thing where it always connects to the server, a bit like Blood Bowl 2, right? Which I always found so completely weird why, particularly on the Blood Bowl 3 one, to load the individual UI elements, it seems to need to connect to the server, not even just to take the skulls and whatnot, but actually load the menus. It seems to really struggle. They have improved it since then, I think, right? And it does seem to be running a bit smoother now, which is cool. And yeah, the one thing I was looking for from Blood Bowl 2 to Blood Bowl 3 with the menus was, will they run quickly? Like, I understand other people might not like how it looks, but in terms of the menus, I don't care that much how it looks as long as it's nice and smooth to use, which, it seems maybe it could be.
Yeah. Rick?
Yeah, I'm with Elliot in the aesthetics on menus and stuff doesn't bother me at all. I totally appreciate that it does for some people. The big thing for me, and it's hard to tell from a beta, but I think I've got a bit of a positive on this, is that I struggled to navigate at first Blood Bowl 2 going back years. And I got reminded of that recently in the Discord when somebody was talking about Blood Bowl 3. They said they'd passed by Blood Bowl 2 entirely because they'd never found the CCL ladder. And actually, I was close to doing the same thing, and eventually I just about stumbled across it, maybe by Googling some Discord. And I admit that I'm completely tech illiterate, but there's a lot of people that just want to be able to go into a game and very easily find the area that they're supposed to find online multiplayer games.
Yeah.
And that was surprisingly difficult for us tech illiterates in Blood Bowl 2. And so far, this has looked much easier. Now, it's easier to have that more obvious in a beta because there aren't that many options. But if they keep it as straightforward and as easy to find, we won't lose people as stupid as me with menus that buy Blood Bowl 3 and then literally can't find out how to join the multiplayer scene.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I was exactly the same, Rick. One thing that really cheered me up about this is there is a big bright button right on the front page that says play a game. And then when you click that, you've got an option of play in the AI or play a person or play in hot seat. And I think that's a real step forwards. It's sort of crazy that something that seemingly simple is a huge step forwards. But I, like you, really struggled to find a way to play a game in Blood Bowl 2. I had to actually ask somebody. Again, I'm not that tech literate. And here it seems much more in your face.
Sorry, PC.
No, come on, I was just about to bring you in, Jim.
I found a video that I made because somebody asked me how to find a game, and it's got 1,600 views of how to find a game online. So, yeah, that was definitely a problem with Blood Bowl 2, and it will be better. It's going to be slightly different in the finished product. In the previous beta, they had like a link to the how to play videos, and in that it showed you like their ideal for like the finished one. So it is slightly different what we've got. And yeah, some of the functionality is better. Like, the thing that you've got in Blood Bowl 2, you have a team and then you can only go left and right. Like, that's crazy, isn't it? Like, everyone hates that. And having just all of your teams set out is better. But what I hate about the menus and stuff is like how bright and dark everything is, right? The background is dark, and then you have this luminous red, luminous blue, luminous purple, bright white, like insanely bright white. It's just like it's eye strain instantly from the get-go. Just looking at your teams, instant eye strain.
It is quite faithful to the rule book, though, isn't that? Does that
It's
matter
not
to you?
quite, no, it's much more muted. You can go straight to the Blood Bowl 2 website, Blood Bowl 3 website right now, and they look like real colours that you can print on a book. You can't print the colours in Blood Bowl 3 on anything.
Yes, they are. They are quite in your face, and I get what Andy's saying about that, reminding him of mobile games and their desperation for your attention. But isn't that the reality of this world? Is that this needs to go out on the Twitch, on the Xbox, the PlayStation, and to get those younger gamers' attention, or am I being hugely patronising? Don't we need big, bright, in-your-face colours? Isn't that
No, because
2022?
look at the menu screens for Fortnite. That's bright, but it's still got like a cohesive palette, and you can see things, and it doesn't hurt your eyes instantly because they don't have, "Ooh, this is bright and this is dark and this is insane." It's bright and it's vibrant, but it's fine because it's cohesive, basically.
This is my biggest issue with the entire game, and I was going to save it for when we were talking about on the pitch, but I can't play much Blood Bowl 3 beta because the brightness knocks me sick. It's insanely bright white, and the colors. If it was like that color palette, but the brightness wasn't there and the contrast wasn't so intense, then that would be one thing. You might think, oh, it's a bit kiddie and it's not my cup of tea, but I could live with it. But I literally can't play because, like Jim says, there's eye strain. It knocks me poorly with the camera movements. And I feel queasy every time I play the Blood Bowl 3 beta. It was a bigger issue in the first one, and they've sorted it to a degree, but nowhere near enough. And the scary thing is, which I know I've heard Elliot say, and I was thinking as well on a couple of layers, is first of all, they were so surprised when they did their stream that was an issue. They said, "Oh, we were really surprised when we got feedback, people saying they felt ill playing the game." And then as a second part to that, they said that the way that they fixed it was they brought in people that were colorblind to check that it was okay with them, which seemed to be like, I really hope the game is suitable for the colorblind community.
Yes.
But if anything, right now it's only suitable to the colorblind community.
And ideally, blind across all colours, that would help.
Ideally, and it seemed to be a complete misunderstanding of the fact that we said we could only play it in colorblind mode, which is maybe not quite the truth now. I can just about get through a game or two in the regular mode, turning down the brightness, but it's still knocking me sick. And yeah, they just so the scary thing is not that it's the problem because it could then get fixed. It seems to be that they can't grasp or observe the problem. That's what worries me.
Yes, it's. I mean, I have noticed there's been several people. I mean, Blodstep, also known as Flicky Flack, tried to stream some Blood Bowl 3, really struggled with it. He then reported he had a 6-hour headache afterwards. So I hope there isn't medically anything wrong with it, but that's not okay. And Singolo, a very well-known Russian streamer, a big bear of a fella. You don't think of him as perhaps a shrinking violet. I don't know if I'm stereotyping. I don't know the man particularly well. But he reported the same, that it was giving him such bad headaches that he really couldn't stream it, he couldn't play it. And if it's a notable portion of the popular, and I think you've had the same, haven't you, Jim? You've had actual headaches from looking at Blood Bowl 3. So
I haven't had headaches, but good. I've had really hurts my eyes. Oh no, I did 8 months ago. This time it's just been some eyes.
So there is some progress, but I think our message on even the user interface is that it's better. There's a lot of good there. I like the color palette, but perhaps it's just too demanding of your attention, too in your face. Andy, you want to? I see that. There's something coming out of there, isn't there? You're not agreeing with me. There's some progress.
It looks like an like 2015 mobile game, and I was going to save this for later on, but I mentioned it in the pre-call. At the moment, in the Warhammer universe, there's another beta going on right now, And a good friend of mine is someone who's streaming Warhammer 3. Their viewership's gone from about 200, and they're currently on the sort of 7, 8, 900 people. And the chat are going, "My God, this is amazing! I can't wait for February the 13th or whatever it is." And there's so much hype around it. I haven't even streamed Blood Bowl 3 in the second version because I watched the streams on the Tuesday daytime and went, "Oh my God, this is terrible." And I don't think I'm going to add anything to it that is going to have I can't be constructive about it, so I'd rather say very little. And I'm really having to sort of try and wind myself in to not go crazy about how bad it is right now. But
Yeah.
I don't want to play that game. I'm not going to stream it. It's not going on my channel.
To pick up a couple
Just to
of...
very briefly add on to
Yeah, right.
Andy, like I just want to say what a lovely, positive guy Andy is in nearly every way. Like they can try and blame like stream. Oh, this is a negative streamer. Streamers are so toxic. Andy isn't, right? We all know Andy isn't. We all know Andy. So for Andy to say something like that means something. Like we aren't here just enjoying like breaking down a thing and criticizing and drumming up drama. We really want this to be good, and we will search for the positives, and I'm sure we have a few to say. But yeah, for Andy to say something like that is significant.
I mean, this is why I pulled this collective together, is these are the people who, as I said, some of their living is from Blood Bowl and streaming it. And this is a community, the four of you, that really want this game to be a success. I know I'm speaking for you, but I doubt any of you would say no to that. And from my point of view, I love Blood Bowl. What's good for Blood Bowl is good for Blood Bowl, and Blood Bowl 3 being good is good for Blood Bowl. Whether that's bringing new players in, or reinvigorating people that used to play, or just giving us more people playing the game. I want Blood Bowl 3 to be a huge success, and I'm certain all of you would say the same to that you want that. Whether you believe it's going to be is different, but you want that as an aim. Am I right that everyone here is wanting a successful Blood Bowl 3?
Yes, obviously we all do. We're all absolutely invested in being better. We'd all
I
love
know,
it to
Jimmy,
be-
but some of the current controversy has sort of hinted that maybe we aren't all on that page.
Well, there's a lot of stupid people.
Desperate. I could like completely change life and drop Blood Bowl, and I'll find a way to manage and carry on if it's terrible and nobody wants to play it. That's okay. But I would far, far, far prefer a really good Blood Bowl 3 that everybody wants to play. That would be a huge benefit to my life. And yeah, that is. Yeah, and I would at this point take compromises on things that I never thought I'd compromise to get the main issues fixed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I'm looking for the positives that releases this in a streamable, playable, usable format, and then hoping and assuming that it may get better over time. I think we're in a very limited window for how much change there might be.
The sad thing is, though, do you want to put the picture on that you've got?
Okay.
The gameplay one. I mean, it's got so far to go, hasn't it?
Where have I put that?
Even Rick, like the most positive person on earth, like look what they've done. Look where they've come in 8 months, and then this is it.
I mean, this is a picture that really interested me. That currently that people are looking at. That is a picture of. Admittedly, it is slightly zoomed in. That isn't the full width of the pitch, but that is a Blood Bowl 3 pitch with the tackle zones turned on and the icons turned on. That's it. I haven't done anything to it other than that. It wasn't even clipped by me. My question to you is, there's an ogre somewhere in there. Can you spot it? Now, there's a lot going on in that picture. It's not a positive picture, though, is it? You don't look at that and think, great, I'm ready to play that turn. I find it a bit, I mean, when I say a bit, it's not playable like that. I mean, that's where I wanted to go next. Before we go on to the colours, the palettes, the user interface, I know we want to talk about those. Let's very briefly. Has anyone got any comments on sort of the engine of this machine that is Blood Bowl 3? The actual game of Blood Bowl it's playing, how close the rules are, the bugs, the actual things you'd probably normally look at in a beta.
I mean, there are some bugs, right? I mean, that's always going to be expected, right? I think frenzy into stand firm, this kind of thing is not working right now. And
yeah, I think it's that the bug I've seen where the two players become one in the same space.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But one technically isn't there; it's somewhere else, but it shows in the wrong one.
Fair play. Yeah, I had one where one player was in one score on my screen, and I was playing Dimmy at the time, and the player was in a different score on his screen. And this is the kind of thing you'd expect right at this stage, right? That's what we'd be wanting to help fix in this beta, right? And wanting to point out those kind of problems. But yeah, I mean, it's still Blood Bowl, right? Underneath all of it, and there's quite a lot of it. It's still Blood Bowl, and the underlying engine, the underlying Blood Bowl game seems to be happening pretty much as you'd expect, I think.
Yes, as the Artemis Black has just pointed out, that's when you push somebody into stand firm. That happens. They sort of the graphics meld, despite one of them not actually moving.
Okay.
So that might be a bug that gets squashed. I mean, I noticed that on a blitz action, you get to use your skills like dodge.
Yeah.
Which is a difference from the rule book.
On the blitz kickoff event, so
blitz kickoff events, yes. So I'm wondering if
grab is wrong. The best thing is they had 3 teams last time, and one's Pro Elves that start with sidestep, and one's Black Orcs that start with grab. And grab doesn't work with sidestep correctly on either blocks or blitzers, and they haven't fixed it.
Right.
In 8 months, and they probably, maybe they will fix it, but even then, it's just like that's so irrelevant compared to the game is a horror show that you can't play. But I can play it because I played Blood Bowl for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I was playing Dimmy, and I was just doing it all on instinct, and I was barely looking. Like the wheel. Lots of people hate the wheel. I don't even notice the wheel because I just don't need to look at the board. I'm just I'm just playing it by heart basically, and it's just horrendous.
And nowadays, we'll come on to the interface in a minute. The wheel is actually only used for limited numbers of players and limited numbers of skills. There are ways to more or less avoid it, except when you block people. Would anyone agree if I said that I think the engine underneath, despite a few bugs and differences from the original rules, is playing Blood Bowl kind of okay? In the second build, the first beta was a lot less stable. The second one, I think, has been a lot better. And he's slightly nodding.
They've got most things right. They've got most things right.
Okay.
And you could play a game of Blood Bowl. You wouldn't really know what's happening.
So if I changed all the graphics, if I changed the front end,
no
the
idea
graphics...
if your front has block or anything, or whether you're using stand firm or fend, or if you're using block or wrestle, but you'll be able to play a game, yeah, kind of.
So if I change the user interface, the graphics, and the front end of it, you think there's possibilities?
Onto a winner then, yeah, onto a winner.
I mean,
you then go and fix the bugs, right?
Yeah.
It's not right. You then go and fix the bugs.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, at least we can agree that there's some positives about the front end and some positives about the underlying engine. Or at least not perhaps as many problems as we might have in the next 2 sections. We've already looked at it. Let's talk a little bit about the graphics, sort of in general during gameplay, as well as on the front end of the game. Any fans of what they've done graphically with Blood Bowl 3?
I like, it's not really graphically, I don't know, maybe it's more user interface, maybe it's the wrong section, but just to get it in there quickly.
These are very artificial boundaries, Elliot.
I like parts of what they've done with the camera. I like how you can set the camera to, as you rotate the camera, it goes to predefined intervals.
Yep.
So, for example, if you're on Blood Bowl 2 and you're trying to look at the pitch from your opponent's perspective, you just can't. You can kind of free cam it round, and then it kind of wobbles around a bit. On this, you can rotate the camera around nicely. You can change the elevation quite nicely, although maybe some more options of exactly how to set it would be cool. But yeah, there we go. Camera's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think in the free camera mode, I've really struggled with it. I think it could be nice for replays when you're not trying to actually do anything except watch. But free camera and playing, I found insanely difficult. But the fixed camera, where you can go around in chunks and you have 3 different elevations to look at, I thought that was pretty good. Are we?
Yeah.
Excellent. There we are. We found a positive about the graphics.
There's a lot. There's a lot I like graphically.
Good.
Let's hear about it. I love the models. I love the pitch. Most things independent of themselves, I really, really like. I think when it zooms in and does the animations, to me, I was like, wow, the models are so much better than they've been previously in only a way that you could do modernly. Whoever's done those has done an excellent job. It's the blending that's awful. Somewhat the colors, and when it is the colors, it's extremely the colors. Somewhat the lighting, somewhat the sizing. All these things are wrong, and so the overall picture when you're zooming out is terrible. It's hard to look at in a sense without any pain. It's hard to look at in a way with getting information. But individually, so much of the stuff I like. In fact, the only thing that I really hate individually is the icons. Everything else, graphically, design-wise, I'm a big, big fan of.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the models too, and well done. Some people aren't going to like them because of them copying the models, but that's just a taste thing, isn't it? They are just they're, I don't know. Technically, they're well done, aren't they? And I think the stadium looks nice. The problem is with the stadium, of course, the only thing that I need that isn't the pitch in a game of Blood Bowl is the dugouts.
Yes.
And they've got rid of them.
I mean, there is a line that has all the little players in it with icons showing you why they're there.
Yeah, with KO that looks like dead. Have you got a picture of that?
I don't. No.
Red KO icon and yellow and white Kaz icon is kind of weird.
And red X's for the eyes. They're like the universal symbol of death.
Being dead, yes. I mean,
It's KO.
I've also noticed that on almost every pitch there is a graphical asset where you would expect the dugout to be. And I originally thought, oh, look, they've put dugouts in. And then my people started appearing on this slightly weird diagonal, dotted line. And I thought, why have we not got a dugout? We seem to have gone backwards from Blood Bowl 2 in that respect, in terms of how... And they weren't that brilliantly organised in Blood Bowl 2, but at least there were some vague sections as to who was where. That doesn't seem to be the case here. You might have your reserve next to a dead, next to a KO, next to another reserve who got pushed out but wasn't hurt. That does confuse me a little. But I agree with Rick. Can we all agree? Do we all like the actual icons, the actual figures? They're pretty good, aren't they?
Not the icons, but yeah.
Sorry, not the icons. The figures, the models.
Yeah, not the icons.
Yeah, 5 out of 5 saying we like the models.
I love like the orcs and the goblins. It has, and it's a problem that's also in Blood Bowl 2. So I mean, it's a difficult one to solve, I guess. But the humans and the elves, it's hard to tell them apart. Right? It's difficult. There's not a lot to distinguish some of the players. But then I guess with like human-sized models, it's maybe not that easy. But it would be nice if they were a bit more distinguishable. Some of the player types.
Has anyone? The players that are pushed out are also shown as stunned in reserves, which isn't ideal, is it? Has been mentioned by Manasantra. Has anyone played with the customization options for the little pieces?
We can't. They don't. They're not in.
Okay, because they were in the first beta. You could colour things, couldn't you, and change a few things.
You can colour things, but you can't change parts. But the colouring's fine. Like the colouring's good, and the parts you assume would be good, right? Like they've shown it a bit on the trailer, haven't they? They showed some of the customization on the trailer. So
does that mean we're going to be able to delineate different positionals, or is it going to be one colour palette for the whole team?
Oh no, the colours are the same, but like you could choose to give, say, all of your blitzers a big right shoulder pad and something like that.
Right.
So you could help yourself a little bit. But
again, I mean that sounds great and like something I would instantly want to do, but I suppose my question is, why would I have to do that? Why isn't the game shipping in a way where I can instantly tell the pieces apart? That would seem...
No, sure, but the customization is great. To be fair,
yeah,
that is genuinely great. I think that is a great part.
And I've always said that when it comes to customization, just before we move on, because I really do want to, one of the poll results has come in and is really interesting. The first poll, by the way, was about 2/3 were saying they weren't terribly excited about Blood Bowl 3, having seen the beta, and about 1/3 of the chat says they are excited. Which, as we have, blimey, 200 viewers in the chat, there was quite a lot of voting going on there. What about... Where was I going next with it? We had the customization options. What about microtransactions? Do we think we're going to see them for some of these customizing? And does anyone have a problem if we do?
Go for it.
Yeah, I think that's why they're in, aren't they? That's why some of the options are in. Like
strongly suspected, yeah.
I hope we do. The more that we can make this game benefit Cyanide, the more motivated they are to make the game something we all want. So I honestly would hope that there are microtransactions.
It does seem the modern way, and it seems the perfect place to put them in a cosmetic thing people can enjoy and want, but perhaps that some of us don't have to pay for if we don't want. Is that... Are you on board with that, Andy?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the way they did it in Blood Bowl 2 was you didn't see what you hadn't purchased, so you were never going to go and find it to purchase it.
Yeah.
In the same way that they messed up the way that you join private leagues. If they can show you everything and then they can hide half of it behind a paywall, I'm okay with that.
Now, when it comes to the graphics, I mean, I'm the same. I think microtransactions, particularly for cosmetic things, is a great way of them monetizing and making money out of the product. And I really want them to, because what's good for Cyanide is good for Blood Bowl 3 is good for Blood Bowl. Just before we move on from the graphics, because the vote came in that 3/4 of the chat are more worried about the user interface than any other aspect. So we do need to start talking about that. When it comes to graphics, is the problem as simple as just they are saturating too many of the assets on screen? Now, I'm saying that like I know what I'm talking about. I don't. I'm repeating the words of smarter people. Could it be that simple that someone spends an afternoon going through and saying, oh, we'll turn that one down 80%, we'll turn that one down 40%, and then it will look better? Is that...
Well, none of us do that for a living, PC, so we can't give you the absolute answer. But yes, you can look at it and think to yourself, surely these guys are professional people. Surely they can like make the tackle zones a bit like see-through. I don't know what the word is. But like a bit translucent in it.
That's
and,
it.
you
Good
could
one.
do. You could do things like that, and you would think they could make the thing, like the icons not brighter than the sun, for a start. Like just alter the levels of things and make it bearable. Yeah, you would imagine from a layman, you would imagine that they could do that. Yes.
Could you just bring up that picture again, as PC?
Yeah, sure. Let me,
Find the ogre picture.
okay. I think we have that one preloaded, ready to go. There you go.
Cheers. Yeah, like if you imagine this with, like Jimmy says, that the tackle zones at 50% opacity or something, without the black lines around them, the big silver circle and the big white logo gone, and then smaller translucent icons just showing the learn skulls, then maybe it's a bit less chaotic here. And one tiny hope, Jimmy maybe not holding this one. One tiny hope I have is that maybe with some small changes rather than like a massive reworking of the whole thing, which was what my initial reaction was that would be needed. Maybe with some small changes, and yeah, they've not done them yet. It's true, but maybe you could have something that was readable, that was passable visually, just by getting rid of so much of the clutter that's there. Toning down, everything's got a black border around it, right? The white circles have a black border, the tackle zones have a black border, and it's all like 100% opacity. Make it translucent, right? Make the icons translucent, so make them smaller, and then maybe it's a bit more, visually, readable.
In terms of the icons, is anyone a big fan of the new icons, the new designs?
No.
No, I've got three shakes. Rick, emote for me. Tell me. Be the fan of the icons for us.
I can't, PC. My apologies. I couldn't be any further in the other camp. Where to start with them, really? They've decided to redesign the wheel. We've had decades of Blood Bowl color coding in all forms of Blood Bowl, almost tabletop, very much originally, where we know what general color is, agility color, strength color, pass color. Many, and I think what they want is a system that helps people learn Blood Bowl. Well, guess what? Everybody that's ever played Blood Bowl has learned successfully through that system of Blood Bowl, and it's been fine, and it continues to be fine. They have prioritized color-wise the background rather than the pictures, so your eyes are taken to the background rather than the actual picture itself, so it's hard to then see what the picture is. The picture's just a silhouette of black or white, and then I am the least qualified person to be an art critic in the world, but when it's so extreme that like the Blood Bowl 2 icons were lovely designed and drawn, and they don't have to be the same, I'm not saying copy them, but these look, honestly, like I draw like a 5-year-old, and I couldn't do worse than these. Like, they are so badly drawn. I just can't believe that they've passed for what they consider acceptable as icons. And like I said, all the other graphic designs, love them. So this is the one thing in the game, but it's so bad that I'm absolutely stunned. Just how terrible I found it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dissimilar. I think the stadiums look good. I think the pitches look good. I think the pieces look good. The three of them don't work together, but the icons don't, do they? Andy, are you an icon fan?
No, I think the icons don't work because they are the wrong size. They don't match the size of the models. And actually, I feel like the game was made in silo. So you had someone who built the stadium, who then went and someone else went and made the models, and someone else made the icons. And then they turned up on Friday afternoon and said, cool, that's what we're doing, we're off to the pub. And nobody's actually looked at the whole thing. And I also think, which is super scary, the people who made it don't play Blood Bowl. They've got no idea what we actually want or what they should want.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Elliot?
Yeah, the thing is that's fair, what Andy's saying, and we saw them play on like the presentation show they did, and it was cool they did that, but clearly neither of them were that great at Blood Bowl. The thing is, the problems with the game I think, sort of transcend Blood Bowl, right? I think they could be the worst Blood Bowl players in the world and have no idea about the game, but a lot of the problems are just seem to be like basic computer game things, right? Making it look nice, okay, the skill designs maybe factors into the, how much they know about Blood Bowl for sure, but so many of the problems seem to go beyond that, really.
Jimmy, I haven't brought you in on the icons yet.
I agree completely with Elliot. Yeah, like it is the least of the problems, isn't it? And like you would get used to anything. Like we would get used to anything. And yeah, it is a Blood Bowl specific thing rather than just like, the other problems would be shared by anybody with eyes. You're going to have problems with it, but yeah, the icon system is stupid, isn't it? Like it's completely nonsensical. They've got some categories that they've tried to justify.
Let me just. I've got Gautier's answer, Jimmy. Let me pull that up.
For you do. That's why I led you into.
Bless you. And I've even made it so I can just click one thing. There we are. This is what Gautier. I have another one. Is that better?
Well, there you go. So yeah, and the funny thing is they've got them wrong themselves. They said, because I was like, what do they all correspond to? Because we couldn't work it out on my stream. We had 200 people, we couldn't work them out what they meant, and they were like, it means this, and then we were like, well, so I was like, well, why is, I don't know, I can't think of any of them now, but I'm like, so why is Jump Up not just orange? Why is Thick Skull got purple in it?
This on a podcast, let me just read it out, and then I'll come back to you,
Jimmy. Oh yeah.
So it has been said by Gautier, who is the lead designer, I believe, on Blood Bowl 3, and has, I have to say, been very engaged with the fan base during this beta process. He has responded. He has explained his reasoning behind some things. He is trying to take part, and I think that's incredibly positive. He said specifically about this, the goal of the BB3 icon rework is to design simpler icons that can be more easily identifiable, even in small size, and to use a color coding that actually conveys gameplay information. So Claude's explanation is that the green equals movement, the blue is about interacting with the ball, orange is about block and aggressive actions, violet covers miscellaneous and special skills, and then red for negative skills, negatraits. Yeah. Hasn't he got a point? When we get to learn those colours, won't we be able to go, okay, it's a green skill, I can do this with it?
He hasn't, and for several reasons. First of all, he made laws wrong. So they got about 10 wrong. They got literally about 10 wrong. I listed them all, and then they were like, oh yeah, sorry, we'll have a look at them. And it's like, well, you've had a lot of time, and you've chosen them all, and you've got 10 wrong. Whatever. And then also, no, this category matters, right? If you're playing a Dark Elf team, you're used to seeing a lot of blue skills and a lot of yellow skills, and then you see a red skill, and you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, they've got Mighty Blow, a guard. They're the skills that matter, aren't they? You care about. Or if you're facing a dwarf team and you see or a chaos team and you see a few yellow, you're like, oh right, who's the guys with dodge and stuff? It's just insane that this is like a complete. Now guard is just going to be orange with all of the other orange skills that are all weird and no one really knows or cares what they are. Now, like and also this is separate, and you would imagine it would get fixed by the real game, but maybe not. The learn skills aren't in order. So you can have a grab guard, thick skull guy who's got them all, and you don't know what they've skilled up. It's
so
crazy.
You might have 5 guys that have grab and thick skull, and then the 6th one has grab, guard, thick skull, and because
someone else has grab, thick skull, block,
right,
and someone else has tackle, grab, guard.
So to be specific, you're looking for added skills to always be at the end of the chain.
Yeah,
of skills.
Yeah, of course.
And ideally, of course, a graphical setting that we can just turn learned skills on, which they have said will come. Yeah. But at the moment, your choices are your skills, their skills, or all the skills.
Yeah, and they did say that 8 months ago as well, yeah.
Their color system is maybe the one place that it really does matter that they don't really know Blood Bowl, which again is fine, and most people shouldn't, right? That's fine. We're the exception. We're Blood Bowlers, but it shows a fundamental misunderstanding. I had Sol in chat yesterday when I was playing Blood Bowl 3. He said he'd actually had a 1-to-1. I think it was with one of the Cyanide, and I think it was Gautier, and Gautier just wouldn't move on the icons. They had a really good conversation, but on the icons, he said that they'd done playtesting with a group, and the group had said they were really good. And so he was just like, well, you can't dismiss this group. This is people that want to learn the game. But when they're learning the game, they'll very soon find later on that they want it color coded like we do, and that is the best way to play Blood Bowl and the best way to learn it. They're going to mislearn a few things early and think that they get an advantage from it, and very, very soon find out that they've learned bad information that's gonna throw them off, unfortunately. And also, we're not like discriminating against this group of people that are learning. We want them to join. We want new coaches in, but we just, like, it sounds really arrogant, but we've played Blood Bowl for so long. We've taught new people. Andy teaches people all the time how to play Blood Bowl. We all have, and so we know how that's best done. And unfortunately, that's where Cyanide's lack of experience as Blood Bowl players is really coming to the fore.
It did explain though that why it was better. It was because it is.
Okay. Look, I also want new people to come in. Last time we talked about this, Calcium said in the chat, there's no chance. Kids are never playing this game. This is a game for old people, essentially, is what he implied. Has he got a point? Are we chasing something that just doesn't exist, trying to bring new players into Blood Bowl?
No, because it's literally existing right now, isn't it? Trent's just started streaming Blood Bowl, and we've got a new person who's playing Blood Bowl and like wants to get better and everything, and has improved massively as well. So yeah, there is hope. It's not just men over 40.
We're getting a lot of people in their 20s. It's a live board game again. We've just had a load of young women. I hope they don't mind me describing them like that as a group join, which is wonderful. Some of the people that have done amazingly well previously, Shawnee, Ducky, were unbelievably young men. Random Boy was literally a boy. You know, so yeah, we're actually developing quite a wide demographic now, which is wonderful. And that will continue if we have a playable game.
Right. So there is a goal here, which is growing and keeping alive this game. It's not just on life support until we all die. There should be a new generation coming up, and this game's important to that, just like the new tabletop version was. Good. I'm glad we think that, because I do have an episode planned where I'm trying to persuade Pete W to let me bring his young son Thomas W on and explain from a 12-year-old's perspective why the hell he's playing Blood Bowl. And what we could do to make more people his age want to. So that's, I think, something we can look at. Now, we haven't touched on it, so let's talk about the user interface. The wheel, the variety of buttons, the preponderance of them. Are we fans?
No. One thing that I can't get at all is how you need to use both hands to play it now. It's crazy, right? I mean, okay, so maybe this one's not for Rick. I mean, he uses both hands anyway on the controller, fair enough. But for using the mouse and keyboard, right, you now have to use the keyboard as well. I used to be able to play Blood Bowl 2. I still do play Blood Bowl 2 just using the mouse, but now we've got to press spacebar effectively after every action, which just seems insane. Like, surely increasing the number of like key presses and button strokes and stuff you have to do for to do like each action is like gotta be like rule number one of like, don't do that, don't make your players do that, right? Don't make them take extra actions and stuff, and you've got a choice between doing like click spacebar, click spacebar, click spacebar, or doing click and then misclicking your rerolls and and using all of them by turn 3. So yeah, it seems it's rubbish, isn't it, really?
I presume you've had the I've suddenly got no rerolls left problem then.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it works so much smoother with a spacebar. It does. It works a lot smoother with a spacebar. But I shouldn't have to be using the mouse and the spacebar for every action. That's just crazy.
Jimmy, you're a man with hands. Surely you can use both of them to play Blood Bowl.
Yeah, I'm almost a good ball carrier. Hey. No, actually, 8 months ago, I used a controller and a mouse. That was how I got through that. And it is. I guess it is slightly better than 8 months ago. Well done. But it's still terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, there's not a lot to say.
Rick, are we living in your world? You're a controller man. Surely you're thinking, I've got these fools now. This is game on. This is Rick's future.
Yeah, I can't wait to be the crucifer of Blood Bowl 3. No, it's a mixed bag actually on controllers. So the one thing that we do have going for us is the misclicks aren't there. There was no risk of me accidentally using a reroll on controller. That was probably the one big plus. But we've still got all the other problems. It is improved. There is quite a lot that has been improved from the first beta, and I do want to say that because I don't want to scare off The cyanide group. I don't want this to just seem like some horribly big attack. We really, really are behind them. We're just trying to light a fire, right? and get a game that's going to benefit them and the rest of us. But yeah, so no, I have to press X for everything, like everybody has to press space. So I'm typing in everything or buttoning in everything and then pressing X every single time, and that's not great. And also, yeah, the dice are coming up and I can play quite quick if I ignore everything that's going on screen. So like I literally have to. I've done like 3 actions by the time the first dice have finished rolling. Which is just really, really weird. So yeah, I've got a lot of the same problems except for the misclicking.
Okay, Skuro has told me that apparently we've lost cyanide from the chat, so I think I can say, Rick, be careful about saying you're going to light cyanide on fire. That's not a place any of us want to go tonight. What we want to do is encourage them and help them to build a game they make money off and that keeps Blood Bowl alive for us and for everybody else. You know, not just selfishly. What's good for Blood Bowl 3 is good for Blood Bowl. It's good for everyone in this environment, and that's hopefully why everyone's here tonight. Andy, controlling it is there hope?
I think Rick. No, Rick. No, sorry. There is hope. There is hope.
Okay, right.
But they'd have to have a complete rework. I think Rick touched on it a little bit. For me, the biggest problem is the dice rolling. So in Blood Bowl 2, you see the dice, you have to wait for them to pop up, and then you select your action. In Blood Bowl 3, you've got this weird. Do your action, now you can see the result, then you watch the graphic happen. Would you like to follow up, yes or no? God damn it, I followed up anyway. Like, that's just a mess and was built by someone who doesn't play the game, clearly. So spacebar is annoying, but the graphics are a mess too.
Isn't that our fault, though? Didn't we say after the first beta, we're not seeing enough dice here, we don't know what's going on?
A lot of people wanted to see dice rolling, and then they made the change from Blood Bowl 2, didn't they? Blood Bowl 2, you had the amazing rewind button thing,
yeah.
You know, the rewind animation when you use rerolls. Now they've changed this to you select it, then you have the option for rerolls, and then you see the final result. So that once they've decided to go with that implementation, you have to see the dice like 4 times or 5 times for each action because you might want to re-roll it. So once they've gone down that route, this is the only reality you can have.
But the ones on the pitch are purely cosmetic, aren't they? I mean, I still have to click the one on the wheel to do anything.
Yeah.
So surely they should then hold you back from being able to select your action. So you make your block, it then happens, you select it, you've now got to wait, you get the 2 little D6 rolls, then you've got to wait. Now, do you want to follow up or not? The ordering's wrong. If they're going to go this route, then now they've fixed the ordering.
Fortunately, I think some people are right then. I think there's no budget left, and it's just bug fixing. And I think there's not going to be any reworks. And I think this is the game we're stuck with. And I think the best we can hope for is a change to the color palette and the transparency, whatever.
All right, on that, Jimmy, you're not a particularly positive person about this. I mean, you are in terms of Blood Bowl. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I know you want this to be good, but you don't feel at the moment it is, and it might not be. If I got a job in there and in a week I managed to just recolor the icons so they were in the 5 skill category colors rather than in a sort of bolted on system on top, and I made them smaller so they didn't obscure the pitch as much, and I sort of got rid of the whole tackle zone thing or made them, as you said, really translucent, really in the background. Isn't that the big problem, is the icons and the skills? And if we sorted that, wouldn't it more or less be okay or livable?
I think it would be more or less playable at that point. I still don't think it would be enjoyable. I think it would be playable.
But am I right that just recolouring the icons would be a huge leap forward?
I think it would be streamable. I don't think the icons are that big and a part of the whole. I think the whole is much bigger than the icons. I just think the icons are like the most egregious and targetable part of it, basically.
What about the wheel? Now, Cyanide have said repeatedly the accusation that's been thrown at them, and I'm going to throw it tonight. I feel the wheel is there for my kids using their Switch. It's not there for me on PC. It is not making sense to me why, as a PC user with a mouse, they would put a wheel into this game. It feels like something for thumbsticks, for controllers on joypads, and for Switches and PS4s and Xboxes. Does anyone here believe that isn't why we've got the wheel? Anyone buy this Cyanide thing that no, it's designed for PC users?
Yeah, it doesn't seem too nice for PC users. Interestingly, not quite the question you asked, but I've had some console users saying it's not really designed for consoles either. Almost feels like more of a mobile thing, like having these massive, massive buttons you can easily click on the big wheel. So yeah, I mean, I used the controller a little bit to test it out, but didn't use it too much. So I can't say. But yeah, don't really enjoy it on the PC for sure. And
The
it's
wheel-
quite easy. It pops up as well sometimes. You're trying to stand players up or this kind of thing. If you just drag your mouse slightly, you get the wheel sort of pop up briefly, which is a bit annoying when you don't want it.
Rick, how are you on the wheel? I mean, it's there for you.
I think it's an attempt to modernize and to be there for everyone across the board. But I can see why people don't like it. I actually don't hate it with mouse or with joystick. I played one game with mouse. But it's not great either. And I think the answer for the wheel is the answer for everything else. Is that give us two options. Just give people two options. Like it can't be that hard. If you think those icons are good for some new people to learn, well, they can play with those icons. Then that's fine. Give us some icons that we're saying is good for the entire Blood Bowl demographic, and people can choose. And the same with the wheel and just a more standard user interface. We're not even asking for some huge new design of something, just very basic as it was or similar to Blood Bowl 2. And I know that must be really frustrating to hear. Please change this to how it was on Blood Bowl 2. But that's because that's a really simple version. We're not asking for some massive overhaul, but give people options. And I just wanted to say as well, I do have some sympathy with Cyanide from something Jimmy said, that they got some. They get some bad feedback, right, is part of the problem. Every man and his dog feels like they've got a worthwhile 2 cents to throw once they've played a little bit of the beta. And I feel almost hypocritical being like, oh, well, we're the ones you should listen to and not the rest, right? But all of us have many thousands of hours each. I'm nearly 6,000 hours on Blood Bowl 2, and we've brought people in, and particularly in Andy and Jimmy's case, they've taught so much to the community, even just by streaming, even if not directly. But they brought so many people into the community and taught them how to play Blood Bowl through Blood Bowl 2 very, very successfully. They really, really do know what they're talking about. And you can take it as a little bit overly negative, or maybe you felt they could have said it more diplomatically if you're Cyanide. But at the end of the day, Cyanide are professionals, and so they need to take the emotion or maybe something they don't like out of what's being said if there's something there, and get down to the bare facts of it, because this is information from people that know really, really, really well what is required.
Yeah. I think that's really interesting. I mean, we are, as you said, more important than anyone else that plays Blood Bowl.
Definitely.
I think we can all agree
That was
on
the
that.
point.
Yeah, that was the point. No, look, I take your central point. As an illustrative of that, I was at a tabletop event. I've told this story before, a couple of months ago. And someone recognised me by my voice, and I thought, oh, great, they've heard one of my podcasts or something. The guy went, yeah, you're that guy from Jimmy Fantastic's YouTube, aren't you? And it just shows that the content that all of us have made, but particularly Jimmy, Andy, I mean, even yourself, Rick, and Elliot, it's out there in so many forms, and so many people are coming to Blood Bowl through that. That it is somewhat amazing to me that perhaps Cyanide didn't just put out a call to one or two of the bigger streamers and say, can you come and have a look at this pre-beta and give us some input? And then some of these issues could have perhaps been addressed behind closed doors.
That's the problem now. I think Rick's idea of options, the boat's already sailed, right? They've had that money to make the icons. The icons are made. That's it. Saying just have options, it's too late. They've picked their option. That's it. Saying just have options, you're just asking for more money in and more things to be made, and it ain't going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's it. And also, you could link PC. You could link the document that Inarian made 8 months ago.
Can we drop that link, please, Dinny? You should be ready to do that for us.
Which, funnily enough, Elliot and Andy were also involved in. I was, and
not me,
Rick was. Not Elliot. Rick was, and Yak was. Sorry, yes, Yak was. Not Elliot.
No, I wasn't asked.
But between us, we had God knows how many hours of Blood Bowl.
Thank you very much, Dinny.
Hours or something crazy, and they just ignored it. Basically, they didn't. They had to be reminded what it was.
But I mean,
and as well, referring to that and bringing in someone, right? They did that with Inarian in Blood Bowl 1. I don't know how I only just found this out, but Inarian went down, worked for a year with them, and completely cleaned up and sorted out Blood Bowl 1 and made it like the foundation to Blood Bowl 1 and 2 that we've had so far, that's built such a successful community. So they knew the blueprint. Bring in, at least consult one really experienced Blood Bowl player and let them have some significant input. And Anarian, completely for free, went to great lengths to make this document last time, and yeah, it has been for the vast majority, for the most part, if not entirely ignored, very sadly.
I did hear a rumour that this time round they had hired a certain Andy Davo to consult on the player side of Blood Bowl 3. I'm guessing, Andy, I'm just going to give you a chance to say that wasn't true, was it?
No, that wasn't true.
Yeah,
That absolutely wasn't true. If they are watching and they want someone, I'm sure anyone in this call would do it, but I'd happily go and spend some time with them. My day job might even give me some latitude to go and do something like that for a couple of months. So if you want to fix it, I'm available.
Lots of nodding. Elliot, do you agree that what Cyanide really need to do right now, whoever it is, whether it's Anarian or anyone here or just someone, find someone good at Blood Bowl with experience of playing a lot of Blood Bowl or streaming it or talking about it, bring them in and just get a consultant in to help a bit. One voice, one vision.
I'd love to do that, but I'm not sure I do agree. No, and Adev mentioned a moment ago in chat as well something I think I agree about. It's the overall presentation of the thing. Again, I'm not sure that a Blood Bowl person is even needed. It's somebody who can make it look nice. Is what's needed. How it looks and how it feels to interact with just seem to be so staples of making a game. Not making a Blood Bowl game, but just making it, a game that's nice to play. That's my problem with it. Not how it implements Blood Bowl, but how it is as a game is my problem.
I mean, my thesis has been, I've been trying to be Peter positive tonight for us all, but my thesis has been from this that I think it shows a massive lack of management. I think Jimmy's right that lots of different people did different parts of this, and then the person responsible for putting it together didn't say to the pitch person, it's pretty, but it needs to be a lot less bright because it's a background thing. And there just needed to be someone that had that vision, putting all the bits together so that they worked. And it just feels like 10 people have done their own bit, put it together, and then see what's happened. And no one has sat on top of it, no project manager or lead developer. I mean, I don't know if that's a thing. But it just feels like there's that lack of a single vision saying, here's where we go forwards, and here's what is important and what isn't important in things like the interface and like the graphics. But you do know a lot of this user interface we can turn off. The buttons down the bottom left of the screen, you can turn those off. The buttons at the bottom of the screen, you can turn those off. The wheel stays, but the ones up at the top I quite like. Am I alone there? The weather button and what was the kickoff result button, they're all right, aren't they?
No, they're a lot worse than Blood Bowl 2. It's already been done. They have a weird white thing all around the edge. Like, what the hell?
I don't understand that.
Just makes it smaller for no reason. Like, it takes up so much space at the top of the screen with the turns and all that stuff. Just takes up so much space at this. If you can just look at a Blood Bowl 2 screenshot and a Blood Bowl 3 screenshot side to side, there's so much space taken up by other stuff that you can't turn off. It's just weird, and it's not neat and tidy. It's like.
Yeah, I think having the option to turn off more stuff could be good. Like, that could be really nice. Like I say, turn off. I don't like the dice for start. Turn off the dice. Maybe turn off the wheel. Make the icons smaller. And to be fair, they have said that they're doing like learned icons and things like that, right? Turning stuff and toning stuff down could go some way to it.
Now, conscious of time and wanting to end hopefully on some positives, I just want to quickly bounce through a PowerPoint I was given access to by the lovely coach Yakastay. I have that set up, I think, on a slightly different screen. Just bear with me for a second. We are going to be very quickly through this because we are very short of time. I believe it's on that one. Let me just pull it up. Yes, there we go. And I will drop a link to this into the YouTube and the Twitch VOD and also onto Spotify. He's saying that when we look at a BB screen, what we're looking for is the model and the added skills. That's basically what page 1 says. Page 2 is talking about how the skills from Blood Bowl 3, and you can see it very clearly there, sit right on top of the players and aren't seeming to be in a very good order, and colour-wise are very confusing. Whereas on Blood Bowl 2, on the right of that image, you can see that the skills are much harder to see in some ways, but the game is hence much easier to see underneath it. The third one talks about the artwork for the skills, not loving those, which we've covered in this. The fourth slide in it talks to you about the pitch, and there is a side-by-side using pretty much the same magnification of Blood Bowl 2 on the left and Blood Bowl 3 on the right. And I think you're going to see that on the right, not only is the blood, and I know it's terribly modern to have blood all over the place, the kids all love that. It's just not clear where the figures are, what they're doing. Weirdly, the thing that's most clear is the ball marker has got huge, but there's just so much clutter on the interface with all of these buttons and all the various stuff going off in literally in all corners of it, as well as in the center when it comes to actually controlling it. His fifth slide is talking about not understanding what's going on because there's just too much things demanding your attention. The sixth side talks about how the go button and the reroll buttons are causing misclicks. I'm with Jimmy. I never thought I would miss the blue, rewind function that was in Blood Bowl 2, and I'm screaming out for it. It's not clear to me when I've used a reroll. It's not clear to me when my opponent has used a reroll. And then we're all going, the colours. There's just too much of it. It's too busy. It's all messing with each other and demanding your attention in ways that are just not comfortable to look at or to interact with as a player. And then there's that wheel, which is, does it have to be right in the middle of the screen? Could it not be off to a side, not getting in the way of what I'm looking at? And hence meaning less sort of random clicks. Now, Yak sent that PowerPoint to the lead designer for Blood Bowl 3, and fantastically he responded. And I do want to end with what he responded because I think it's really, really positive. He said, "Thank you for the document. It's indeed useful. We are currently compiling feedback from this beta. So do feel free in the Blood Bowl 3 Blood Bowl channel, the Discord, to go in and to put your feedback in. We do supposedly have a chance to impact on this." And he wanted to let Yakstate know that contrary to apparent popular belief, we're not ignoring feedback and we're not ignoring player concerns. In fact, a lot of the feedback presented in the document I've just shown you are known issues, planned features, or common concerns on our part. Pages 1, 2, 4, 5, and most of 6 and 7. So the only one missed out there is 3, which is about the actual designs of the icons, not necessarily the color coding of them, but the designs themselves. We're already working on improvements regarding some lisability, which I think is visibility. And then he talks about, in brackets, UI intrusiveness, the user interface intrusiveness, the skill icon display, and the pitch coloring. So are we reassured that that was Gautier's response? Do we think that's going to mean we're going to see some really positive changes in a positive direction?
Personally, no. I would be very surprised if he replied any other way than that. Right?
Okay. How I cheered you up, Rick, surely.
Yeah, it's about as good as a response as I could have hoped. It's certainly a big positive on, I don't think the Discord and I don't mean Discord. Well, I do. I mean both Discords. Sorry, that's really confusing. On the first day was very good. The interaction between people and Cyanide didn't seem to get off to a great start on this beta. He seems to have come along and cooled it down a bit, and he's saying the right things. And I'm always one for trust and optimism at first. So yeah, I will go with I really like that, and I'm hoping that is the case.
I don't know what other option we have, Rick. So I'm with you. Let's be positive. Elliot, have we got you on side on team positive?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's not anything we can do either way, right? Like I say, is there fundamentally? So, hopeful or not hopeful, like, the ball's in their court now, isn't it? Like, yeah, sure, I'm in for some hope, right? I've always gonna have a tiny bit of hope that they make it better, but yeah, like Jimmy says, what we've seen over the previous 8 months, doesn't fully with it, does it? But that's a nice response.
Feels like they've taken a step of a 100-meter race, maybe. Andy,
Yeah,
has that cheered you up? Has that got you on board thinking we're going to see some good things now? It's going to go in the right direction.
No, I think I'm on Team Fantastic on this one. I think what they'll end up doing is they've gone and taken a 2 out of 10 product from summer last year, maybe made it to a 3 or 4, maybe a 5 now, and all they're going to do is they're going to shrink the icons. They're going to maybe get someone in for a couple of days to change the brightness on things, but ultimately the game we've got is the game we've got, and great.
Okay.
So still disappointed and angry, I think, with my two words. I used it at the start and used them at the end.
Yeah, Dimmy, as we are heading into the very, very final ending of this, if you could run the final poll for me, let's see how the audience has moved from 2/3 not really looking forward to it and a third looking forward to it. We've explained some of what we think are the problems. We've heard some of what Gautier, the lead design, interestingly my son's middle name, have said they do plan to address, they do plan to look at. Let's see if people are excited at the end of our chat about Blood Bowl 3, moving forwards from the beta into what will be the released product across 4 platforms. Now, as we are moving into the final moments, I just wanted to give a chance to everyone to say, first of all, what's your biggest single bugbear? And I'm going to limit you to one. You can agree with other people's, and you can go last so that you hope that they've said loads of other ones first. What's your single one biggest bugbear with the beta right now? If you had a wish that would change tomorrow to beautiful, what is it? Who wants to go first? All right, I will. I'll start us off because I've got a nice easy one that will help you all because it will remove it from your list. I've still got a problem when someone's blocking me on the opponent's turn. I can usually tell, maybe 9 out of 10, who's now being blocked, but I can't tell who's blocking them. I can't tell which of the opponent's figures is blocking my figure. And that still means I'm taking decisions over things like fend and wrestle with incomplete information. And I can't play Blood Bowl that way. So there's my number one. Above everything else, even if I turn all the icons off, I still can't tell who's blocking me. To me, that's
I'll go next.
Okay,
I'll
Jim.
go next, and it's the insane brightness of things and like all the colours and everything. That is the most important. It has to be the most important. It's the worst thing because it doesn't matter if you've got a casual guy or you know a diehard, anything like that. If you can't look at the game. You can't play the game. You can't watch streams. It's horrible. It has to be fixed. They have to mute all the colours and everything. It has to just look not like this.
Who's going to add to my top 5 list? We've got 2.
I'll go next. I think the icons would be the next thing they need to change. Size, colours. Just go and have another go.
You'll live with the designs if they change the size and the colours.
I think people forget in Blood Bowl 1 we used to have a really nice card that told you the skills and you could read the words and stuff, and people love that. I was absolutely hated the skill icons when I first came into Blood Bowl 2. Now I can't really imagine a world without them. So I don't really care if they're going to rename them because after 1,000 hours you'll get used to the new ones and new players won't care anyway. But the size, the colours, just go and fix it. Come on, guys.
Yeah, I know it's been memed about Gautier saying, or one of the other cyanides saying, you'll get used to it. I think there is something in what we are very used to, we expect to still be there. And some of this, perhaps after a couple of months, we would have less of a problem with. I think like the new pictures for icons, that is something we can get used to. The colours, I'm not so sure. Elliot, Rick, add to our list. What are the big problems, your top things that need solving?
The amount of clutter, I guess, on the pitch. I mean, I'm with Jamie on the overall, like, you know, contrast or whatever it is. But yeah, the amount of stuff obscuring each other on the pitch. You know, the dice rolls and the blitz icons getting in the way, the circle and the icons like laid onto the pitch, and how bright and obtrusive the UI elements are, like the tackle zones and that kind of thing. There's so much stuff getting in the way; it makes it hard to. I think that's a big factor in, you know, making it hard to tell what's going on.
That just leaves us with Mr. Reckless.
I agree with all the points. I'm going to have to mostly overlap with Jim because for me, by far, it's the fact that I'm nauseated when I play is the worst thing. Like that is just really horrific. I literally won't be able to play Blood Bowl 3 unless that's sorted. I'm worried it's not just the brightness. I'm worried it's also the movement of the camera, the shadowing, and you know, the contrast. So, you know, I'm worried, and also like the blur when you move. I'm worried it's a number of issues combined that all need sorting. But yeah, if I could play it without being nauseated, that is just an infinitely improved step for my experience with Blood Bowl 3. That is going to be the difference between me playing it and not, no matter what about everything else.
Yeah. Anyone got any other final thoughts they want to add in? I really need to wrap this up. We need to move on, and I need to close this episode down.
I've got 2 things to say. One thing about Blood Bowl 3, which is the declaring actions. I think that's such a thing that like is just so not necessary, and I really, really find it hard to believe that Games Workshop, who've just let CA do pretty much whatever they want, have gone down to France and said, no, you must have, I demand that you have declaring actions as a thing. I really find that very hard to believe. I think it could have been like Blood Bowl 2, and it's such an unnecessary step. Yes, it sometimes very occasionally has tactical implications, but so does not having it, you know? So you just make different decisions and stuff, or a different order and that. So it's not adding anything. It's because the rule is there for 2 people playing a game. So you say this guy's going to block this guy and this guy's going to move here, because you're playing a game, so you know what's going on, and you're not just picking up a dice and rolling it, and no one knows what the hell's going on, right? That's why the rule's there. And I hate that. I hate that so much. And I know that's not going to change. I know that.
Okay, I
But
have a
think it's
feeling.
terrible.
I have a feeling you're on your own on this one, Jimmy, because I can play on tabletop. I play on another electronic version that I know Rick and Elliot have been playing on. Rick's very experienced on tabletop. Andy's very experienced on tabletop. We're all used to declaring our actions when we pick up every piece. Does it have to be there in Blood Bowl 3? Rick?
No,
Andy?
No.
no.
I'd prefer
Elliot?
it not to be.
Yeah, I was lying earlier. I'd prefer it not to be too. My view's always been that a computer game doesn't need to exactly replicate the tabletop game, and that's one of the rules that makes sense on tabletop, but just doesn't on a computer game, does it? However, a lot of the time people will have a go at them for not being faithful to the game. So I guess this is an issue where they feel they've been faithful to the game and now they're getting shit for it. And that, I'm sure that feels terrible, but
yeah, I can see from their point of view, they'd be like, and there's some, I'd better not describe them. There's some people who are actually advocating the declaring, and they're a fan of it, and so I guess if they don't know anything about the game, do they, Cyanide? So if they see some people for and some people against, how are they supposed to know who's right?
Any other final thoughts? I've got one I want to throw in myself, but
Well, I guess not particularly. Just to continue that briefly, yeah, it's the most understandable problem, I think, and it's certainly like one. If that was the only thing, like I'd live with that 100%. It's not a massive deal for me. I slightly don't like it, but not massively bothered. I guess, yeah. Please, please make a good job, Cyanide. Go on, prove everyone wrong. Go on, do some great work between down release.
now, despite being inherently lazy, which is why these are live and not pre-recorded, is because it's just easier. It's so not easier. I did actually do a list of things to talk about today. The one I've missed is the sound. Now, no one else seems bothered by this, but I get incredibly bothered. I mean, first of all, 2 minutes I find quite quick. I'm not young. But then when I go into my reserve time, I don't hate the noise that winds me my time is ending. But my 7.5 minutes of reserve time come with a thock, 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 thock. And it's stressing me the hell out. I hate it. I feel my heartbeat. I mean, literally to the point where I'm slightly worried about, my health when I'm hearing it. Couldn't that be 1 in every 5 seconds and then just 1 every second in the last minute? Am I crazy? Does that not seem like a move forward? And what do you guys think of the sound, just briefly?
Yeah, once a minute even, yeah.
The sound is unfortunately also not good. The crowd noise isn't good. In the menu, the sign ticks down.
Oh God, yes, the sign rolling. Oh,
I actually find the sound when it's about to go into your clock more stressful than the overtime clock than the extra itself. That really stresses me out. I get towards the end of the 2 minutes and oh my goodness, that noise. Yeah, that. I don't know. There's so many things that I wasn't even going to mention it, but yeah, the sound isn't good. Yeah.
Dizzy, I understand. I have done a podcast where editing was required as well. This doesn't get edited much, except when I put the podcast version out and the YouTube versions out. It does a little bit, but yeah, trying to make this happen live, it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. I hope it doesn't come over, but it's incredibly stressful. Look, I just want to say thank you all, guys, again. Does anyone have a really positive way forward for this? What would you say to Cyanide other than that we love you, we want this to be a success, please listen. Because we're not here trying to be horrible, we're here trying to help make a game we love be good. Anything to add to that?
I've got nothing positive, Cyanide, no, in that regard. But what I do have to say, which it's a bit, I don't know, I probably shouldn't do it, but I'm going to do it because, there's 300 people here, so that's good.
Sure.
Obviously, right, I went through, people might or may not know that I've had lots of health problems and mental health problems, and I was a complete terrible person to Andy, and I'm very, very sorry. And just let me just say that I didn't even know all the things I was out of line with. Eldo Dorino messaged me with, and it blew my mind that I'd been in that bad a place to have I didn't even know how much of an ass I'd been. So I'm very sorry. So there you go. That's positive, right?
That's
positive. Nothing to do with Blood Bowl 3, but positive.
I'm going to shut up because there's someone else that needs to talk now.
Thank you very much. I don't know what to say. Thank you.
Yeah. Look, to me, that's the spirit of One World, One Blood Bowl. We're all here trying to love and do the same thing. So there's too few of us for us to be in pockets. It's, we all want to move in the same direction. Yeah, absolutely. As someone's just said in chat, well played, Jimmy. I've got a lot of respect for that. Now, we are going to end. I'm not going to do a big long ending, except to say I'm thrilled that these 5 guys have joined us. I'm thrilled you've joined us. I hope this has been useful to you in terms of organising your thoughts. Please give Cyanide some feedback. Please do tell them what you thought. I didn't see the result of the second poll, by the way. I don't know if anyone else saw it. I don't know if we saw any movement there.
A bit more no, I think.
Oh, God. Right, so we've...
74% no, I think.
Yeah, so we've gone from 66% no to 74% no. Look, I'm sorry about that. If we all stay positive, if we believe enough, then perhaps like Peter Pan and fairies, we can bring this back to life. There is a good Blood Bowl game under this. But there's work to be done, and I don't think any of us should be pretending there isn't. Whether it gets done, over to you, Cyanide. We've given you all the feedback we can give you. We've told you what we think are the problems. Hopefully, chat will do the same. And hopefully we'll have a beautiful game of Blood Bowl to play at some point this year. I still want to believe that. It can be hard to, but I want to. Now, I'm going to be raiding us on to Jimmy Fantastic's channel. I don't know if it's actually up and running for me to do that, Jimmy.
I will start right now.
Okay, so if Jimmy goes and kicks off, I'll try to deal with anything that crops up in chat and just basically stall a bit. I might even do a song. This is where I'm going to do the editing, Dizzy. This is where this will stop for the YouTube.
If you want to talk about something else, what about the chat that's in the game? So we currently have these weird icons that crash the game. It gives Jimmy a second to set his stream up. Bring back chat.
That's game breaking. It's actually game breaking, isn't it? Just spamming the emotes. You can't click on anything.
I love spamming those. I'm going to be doing this just across the street at people randomly. I kind of love them because they're so terrible. But I want to be able to talk as well as go. I only know that the orcs do that. Perhaps the other coaches don't.
Someone told me they are going to bring chat in for the full game.
I did hear that.
That's right.
I haven't heard a Cyanide person say it, but I have heard
if it isn't, I'd appeal to them and say that this is very much a community game. And also what wonderful admins we've had for years, and I'm sure, luckily, we'll continue to have, they do a very, very good job of auditing who's in the game and what's said. If something really out of line is said, people get banned from the game and from the community, and that soon gets shut down. So they've nothing to worry about on that front. But we need to be able to talk to each other because it is a very, very social game, Blood Bowl, and it needs to stay that way. It's a big part of it.
I mean, perhaps that's true of everyone except maybe Caution. But there's always some people, given the chat option, are going to be hostile with it. But the vast majority, and I think, look, we all do talk about the people that are awful in chat. And they do exist. And Blood Bowl is a game that tilts people where the dice can really make us all cross at times because what you think you deserve and what you've coached well to get sometimes isn't given to you, and that feels harsh. And then they do something terrible and it works. But most of my experience of chat, I came to Blood Bowl 2 having heard how toxic the community was. Most of my experience of chat has been very positive. Now, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just lucky. But, I mean, do you guys agree that mostly chat's been very positive?
Yeah, I'm not a big chatter, but yeah, you can't not have chatting, can you?
Yeah,
sure.
it's a one human versus one human. I need to be able to say good luck to that human, or well played, or how dare you, whatever it is. I absolutely agree. Are we ready to head over, Jimmy?
Yes.
Right, so if you haven't been there before, I would heartily recommend you at least go and give it a go. Jimmy Fantastic, as well as being the godfather of Blood Bowl streaming, as I called him in the adverts for this, I don't know if he liked that or not, but I did, has been streaming something called Jimmy Fantastic Wrestling, the JFW, for about a year and a half now, I think. Maybe even 2 years. It's been a long old time. It takes a lot of the people you may know from the Blood Bowl 2 community and a couple from outside. It dresses them up as wrestlers in American-style wrestling, and he doesn't play the game. They play each other using the AI, and it's hilarious and fun and very light-hearted and a complete relief from Blood Bowl. I believe you have some guest casters on tonight. Are you being joined by anybody particularly beautiful voiced, like, for example, Mr. Reckless?
Yes, Rick Reckless and Fimir. Rick is on every single week on Monday Night Claw at 9 p.m. UTC, and Fimir is on for special occasions like the Royal Rumble tonight.
Okay. You haven't come up on my Who's Live yet, so I'll just have to type it in chat. So I would heartily recommend you go and watch that. I'm certainly going to. I find it lots and lots of fun, and I think you should certainly give it 20 minutes, half an hour. If you're enjoying it, great. Have a chat. It's a very relaxed, casual place. If not, there's plenty of Blood Bowl going on. Head off to another stream. Thank you for your attention this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it. This has been one world, one Blood Bowl. Thank you very much. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, they haven't gone yet, obviously. That was, I thought typing